Salute and welcome to the channel. First off, I want to start by saying Merry Christmas to everyone. Depending on when you're seeing this video, I am recording this video on the day of 2025 Christmas. And this is actually the only reason why I've decided to reinstall this particular game to bring this video to you guys on this very special day, as I break down a few of my perspectives, trying to give clarity to some of the points I've made over the course of my channel when covering this game, to have those points be a little bit better understood, especially for those of you that might be new to my channel in maybe the last couple of weeks. So I want to just showcase a few examples featuring Steve Fox when compared to King. People who have been on my channel for a while know I kind of like to so-called pick on King. It's just that I know King very well as a character, and I think that it is a very good example to use when describing this game's mechanics of heat and rage. So this is going to be a pretty long video. I'm going to try to add some chapters in here. Hopefully by the end of this video, if you are new, hopefully I will have earned your subscription and or maybe even have you join as a member. So let's just get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am just going to go and pick Steve, and I'm going to pick King. Now, this is an example that I have shown in the past, but for people who might be new, I think it is important for these people to see. And of course, if you are familiar with these, I guess the way this is, as it pertains to heat, I think it's still good to, to kind of see it again, to have it illustrated. And so yeah, so I don't know, maybe I'll edit out some of the load times. Maybe it just depends on how much effort I want to put into this video, because we all know editing is, that's the thing that takes up most of the time when it comes to these type of videos. So I think for first player I will pick King, and then I'll just have Steve be the other character. Where is he at? Now, just for the record, just to clarify, because I understand some people might feel like I just absolutely hate this game. And is Tekken 8 my favorite Tekken? No, it is not. Not by a long shot. However, there are aspects of the game that I do appreciate as I set up Steve here. Most notably, I do respect how this game is made in terms of I guess a character standpoint, like in character, like the aesthetics, the animations. I feel that the development team did a pretty good job with that. But my main issue lies as it pertains to the heat and rage mechanic. That's my main issue with this game. We can talk about character balancing until like we're blue in the face, because to be quite honest, every single fighting game has had its share of character issues. There's always been bullshit characters in Tekken, even starting from Tekken 1, so I want to just show this. Now, when you manually activate heat in this game, if you notice, your heat meter segments into 6 parts, right? Now, upon manual activation, that costs 2 heat segments, which means you have 4 left, right? Now, just to kind of illustrate this, for context, this particular stance with King, basically by definition, this is really a stance. I tend to call this the track star because you have King literally running at you. Now, Basically, in this particular stance, King, for reasons unknown, every single move out of this stance is completely safe. Even moves that I would argue that should not be safe is safe. For instance, Track Star 1, completely safe. Track Star 2, +3, and it's a mid. Track Star 3, it's a safe homing attack. Why? I don't know. Track Star 4, it says it's, let's just put them to block. This right here, it says -21, but it's really not. At best, you're probably going to get a float combo if you can even react to it, which in Tekken 8 specifically, float combos really doesn't really add up to much because all of the damage you incur is recoverable for this game. And yeah, and not everybody's going to react to it. You know, so every single move from this stance is safe. Now, to make matters worse, if you extend the run like this, and you see how he flashes orange, and I'm pretty sure I'm covering territory that everybody knows, but believe me, let me land and you'll understand where I'm coming from. From this point, now this move goes from +3, as it is here, to now +8, okay? So basically, I'm not going to cover all of the changes on how the standard track star, all of the moves being safe, changes when you do the extended track star. You know, I'm not going to cover that. However, when you are now in heat and you do this, King, from the very beginning, you have access to the enhanced track star moves. Now, to make matters worse, the main issue with this is upon activation of this run. Look how little heat this uses. Do you not see this? So, now I want to be clear. I am not saying, because there's some people that actually might believe this, I am not saying that King as a character is a broken, busted character on the level of like Anna Williams. I am not saying that. But I am using King to illustrate just how bullshit the heat mechanic is for some characters. It just so happens I'm using King for this example. So I want that to be perfectly clear, and I hope it is, because I am speaking concise English. And if you still don't get it, just ask people in the comment section, because I'm not gonna really, it just gets really frustrating when I'm saying A and I'm clearly demonstrating it, and then people in the comment section will think I'm saying X. It's very fucking annoying. But anyway, so this right here is very important because the move by itself, okay, the track star itself, I don't like it, but it is what it is. But when you activate heat, now King has access to his enhanced track star moves, okay? And again, I don't understand why when he's in heat like this and activating his running track star, it takes so little heat. You can literally do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You could do this 7 times. You can activate this move 7 times. Now, let me go on over to Steve Fox, because this is, again, a very important thing. Now, Steve Fox, same thing. You have his duck forward, right? His duck forward, right? You have duck forward 1. You have, duck forward neutral 2, duck forward hold forward into this, which is the trident hook. We know, right? We know. Now, however, same thing with the same principle of King. If you hold forward with Steve Fox, right, he goes into extended, right? Extended. So if we just do duck 1, it's -7, right? If we do extended duck 1, it's -7 still, but you get an added 8 chip damage. And if it lands on normal hit, duck 1. That's normal hit. Extended. You get this. Okay, now, when you are in heat with Steve Fox, you can get directly to the extended version of his duck forward by just holding down forward in both kicks, like this. I'll do it again. Now, if you notice, when doing this, you get access to Steve's enhanced duck forward moves. But I can only really do this a handful of times. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can only do that 4 times. Whereas with King, I could do that, what 7 to 8 times? I forgot how much it was. That is an issue. That is an issue that nobody can argue, okay? When it comes to how heat is managed from character to character. Let me give you another example. It's important to kind of just illustrate this when we put on throw escapes, right? Opponent throw escapes, right? So if we go to say, all right. So here we have a throw escape. Here we have a throw escape. But if you do this, it's a free grab, as we know, and it's a heat engager. It tracks for reasons unknown, which obviously tracking grabs is absolutely ridiculous in this game. And it does a massive 45 damage, and it is a grab that you cannot break. Okay, now, if we go on over to Steve Fox, same deal, right? I think King, okay, we're gonna break every grab. Now, if we do with Steve's case, we go here. This is a grab that you can't break, right? The initial, the tie-up, you can't break that. At this point, it becomes a mix-up. Now, the issue that I find is if you look at how much, look at that. Now, I want to let me take King off of the grab break real quick. Let's just take him off. Let's just remove it real quick. Look at the difference with this. If I'm King and I go into heat, we do his track star, which takes no real heat. Like the heat consumption of activating this is a joke. It's an absolute joke, right? Now, if I do his RKO, so not only is it a tracking grab, it also does 49 damage, which means it increases in damage, and it actually regains King's heat. So King is able to remain in heat. Okay, now that's 49 damage. If we go on over and look at Steve Fox, okay, let's do this one. Activate heat, and we go through this whole segment, right? This, and we do this grab. Look at it. Now, if you look at, Steve does 50 damage on this grab, but his heat is completely vanished. His heat is gone. His heat is gone. Now, even if I were to do this without doing the instant access to the duck forward, let's say if I were to just do the duck forward normally, just manually, right? Look at this. Look at how Steve's entire heat vanishes. I want people. This is just what I say is just such ridiculous in this. It is so ridiculous in this game, right? Okay, I'm gonna show it again. We activate heat, manually duck forward, grab. We do his grab. Look at this. His heat is gone. Now, let's say if I were to activate heat, the full version, right? We do this. Look at this. Look how much heat is taken away from this. That is a massive amount of heat removed. And if we were to go back to King and look at King, for instance, and look at his version of this, look at this. Nothing. But nobody wants to talk about these type of situations. People want to instead downplay it. People want to say, well, you can do this. I don't give a damn what you can or can't do. This is reality. This is a clear example on how heat changes a character. This is absolutely egregious. It's absolutely egregious. Because if like, my argument simply is this: if you're going to take a spec away from King when he's doing his track star stance, which basically every move in it is completely safe and really very useful, then you would do the same thing with Steve if the Steve player wants to do this 5 million times, but he can't. Steve can only do this a few times. Look at this. Like that, like I cannot stress this enough. This is absolute bullshit. Look at this. This takes nothing from King. But nobody probably would see any problem with that. This is not, like I said, again, this is not to say that the character itself, like the King character, King has bullshit moves, like this is chief among them, right? You know, we're not saying, or I'm not saying that King as a character is, oh, this bullshit character. The heat aspect is one of two main issues I have with this game. And when you look at how heat completely changes a character, it is basically everything, or I would say 90% of what I find wrong with Tekken 8. Now, of course, I can also go on over to like a character like Lydia. You know, I've seen other content creators really break down her heat and how absolutely insufferable her heat is, you know, and that's that. And I don't know if I need to even address that because a lot of other content creators have, but I feel the comparison here that I just did with King versus Steve, just from their heat, just goes to illustrate a glaring issue with this mechanic from character to character. I do feel that what I am saying is 100% valid. And if you, as a person that's going to inevitably comment on this video, that is going to say, oh, I'm salty, or it's my ego, or I don't know what I'm talking about, all of you people can kick rocks, because I am literally, I'm showing exactly in real time the vast difference. And this is the reason why I feel in this example, this is a perfect example, because King's track star has two variations, much like Steve's duck forward has two variations, and both of their heats allow you as the player for that character, whether it's King or Steve, to gain instant access to the better version of both of their particular stances. But the difference is with King, he takes a very the cost of accessing his enhanced version is significantly less than the cost of Steve Fox accessing his. That is indisputable. Indisputable. So that's just right. That right there is something that you cannot argue. Now, another thing that I don't like as it pertains to King, that is specific to King, is how when he does do, whether it's whether it is a giant swing, right? He gets his heat back. Look at it. He gets a full segment back. Or he does his little Tijuana twister. He gets another full heat segment. Or he gets Shining Wizard, a full heat segment. So King, because of this, can perpetually remain in heat indefinitely, depending on if the person can break grabs or not, right? And also, of course, if he does his RKO, he gets heat back as well. This is a mechanic that King does not need as a character. I think it just makes it even more ridiculous. And King is not the only offender. I believe Anna, if I'm not mistaken, she could do a sequence of moves that regains heat. I think. I'm not too sure. You can confirm in the comments section. I know for a fact Lars can do his dynamic entry or whatever you call it, and then he can spin around like a top, like looking like a complete fool, and he can keep regaining heat that way. You know, I'm just not a fan of that because the heat mechanic drastically alters how a character is in this game. So it can take a character that is insufferable, that is busted, broken, whatever, top tier, and makes the character even more busted and broken in top tier. I am not a fan of that mechanic. I absolutely abhor the mechanic, but I do not see the mechanic being changed in any meaningful way because it is pretty much the very DNA of Tekken 8, unfortunately. So this is why when I look at Tekken 8 as a game and we look at character balancing, you know, it is one of those things where it's going to be an ever ongoing debate. You know, it's much like a first-person shooter. There's always going to be a gun or rifle that's going to be top level versus the others. It just is. All you can try to do as the developer is try to have it so that, you know, where you're not having something that is completely egregious, that it just breaks the game. And many people in the Tekken community pretty much agree that Anna Williams and a few other characters essentially breaks the game. And then you have other characters that are not as busted, but when they are in heat, like Lydia, for example, they break the game. You know, so there's so many examples to really choose from when talking about this party game called Tekken 8. And if I were to cover every single one, this video would be exceedingly long. But, you know, I'm just not, you know, when it comes to other things, for instance, we can just see right here, first of all, grabs that track, this needs to go. This shit right here, what the hell? Yeah, this, first of all, tracking grabs, I'm sorry, that needs to go. The fact that you cannot break crouch grabs, that needs to go. To a degree, I don't mind guard breaks to a degree. And the only reason why I don't mind them so much is because the damage that follows after is scaled. However, I do understand the argument for people wanting guard breaks to be removed. So I do understand that argument. It's just that for me, I don't really see it as being as much of an issue as the other things. Like I said, crouch grabs being unbreakable, this right here is completely bullshit. Especially since Tekken 7, you could break crouch grabs. And then what this lends to is situations like this from King, where you can do stuff like this, and this does not even require a counter hit, and then he gets a free grab. So you get a free grab. I mean, how much damage is this total? Does it show? Let me see. 50 damage. So you get 50 damage, okay, off of this. This is an issue with King, but it's more to do with every character that has access to crouch grabs. This is not universal, just King. But I just so happen to have King on the screen. Like, you know, you can look at Dragunov. Dragunov has the same deal. You could look at Eddie Gordo. You could look at any other character that has a crouching grab. The unbreakable aspect of it needs to be removed. The mere fact that you have two versions of a crouched grab, you should allow the player, the defensive player, to have the opportunity to break one or the other. That should be reinstated into this game, as far as I'm concerned. I cannot see anybody legitimately having an issue with me saying this unless you are a prime offender in whoring out and taking advantage of the crouch grab being unbreakable because you need this to win and be effective. Outside of people like you that might think that, the other people that want a more streamlined experience, you should be able to break crouch grabs, given the fact, again, you have two versions. So with King, you have crouch grab 1 like this, and you have crouch dash 2 like this. So if I'm looking for, okay, King is, I got hit with this, so I'm gonna mash 2. Okay, I can save my health. Then it becomes up to the King player to mix me up properly with the 1 version, because I'm trying to break the 2 version. I think that is very fair, and that returns it back to being Tekken, where you have to guess and make choices. But the fact that there is no choices, you get a freebie damage, this I am not agreeing with. It's absolute bullshit. And then also, to make it worse, the preceding move is completely safe at -9. So now we have a situation, right? And this is where I go back to understanding your frame data and seeing how moves are designed to work synergistically with each other. If you look at this, I call this the twirl. So twirl, yes, TWIRL, twirl. So twirl 2 is safe, and it's 11 frames. Okay, it's 11 frames. So the King player is just going to mix this with this, because this grab is 12 frames, and it tracks. So I'm like, okay. So just to kind of illustrate this, like if we're sidewalking, right? We're sidewalking. Right, like this. How would I do this? Well, I think it's like this. See, this is because I use my thumb to hit both buttons. That's why it's not activating at the same time. Let me see. Oh my God, Red. See? So that needs to go. This is why I say tracking grabs needs to go, because you already have this to track. Oh, well, actually, it's not really a tracking, but you have this. Oh, what's the other move? Well, hold on. Okay, well, all right. Well, it just looks like one of these, well, let's see. Actually, let's have him go the other way. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Well, anyway. I'm just not a fan of tracking grabs. That needs to go. Crouching grabs that are unbreakable, that needs to go. And that's all I really have to say on that particular front. But yeah, let me see, what else should I go and show? Okay, let me go and select different characters here. Let's go to Raven, right? Let's go to Raven, and let's go and pick Raven real quick. And let's just go to my example and my stance of not being able to do quote-unquote nothing when it comes to a rage art. Now, this move here is going to be it's going to be the trigger move, because I'm going to have Steve do a actually I have to have him set up first. Hold on. I'm going to have Steve do a rage art, and this is just to kind of illustrate. Let's put him, where is it at? Opponent rage. There we go. Let's do that. Okay, so we're going to have Steve, let's just have him go and do a rage art, everybody's favorite panic move, right? Okay, so we have that. Now, just to illustrate, down 3 with Raven is a move on hit is neutral. It's 0. So in this situation, we do down 3. We're going to trade jabs, as you just seen, right? Okay. All right, just to illustrate that. Now, I am now going to have Steve instead do his rage art. Same thing. This is why I say there's no direct challenge to a rage art, because if both people are neutral and I throw out a jab, you are going to watch this bullshit cutscene. Now, if we were to juxtapose this with an armor attack, say from like Steve, like this, right? An armor attack. See that? I can challenge the armor attack with a jab and still have enough time to block. Now, obviously, if I do a slower move, right? So that's 14. So let's say if I do 15, so I get hit. Okay. If we do a different 15 frame move, so I get hit. So basically at the 15th frame here, I get hit with an armor. But if it's 14 frames, I can block it. I can recover in time. If it's 14 frames, oh, I actually wait. Okay, well, I guess it depends on the recovery of the move. Even though the move had the same startup, but the certain moves have recovered certain frames. But anyway, you get the point. You can challenge an armor attack, right? You can grab it. You can go low. However, if I try to, see, I try to grab, nothing. If I try to armor, nothing. Can't even armor. So now, yeah, can I sidestep? Yeah, I guess you. Oh, actually, hold on. Yeah, I need a sidewalk. All right, sidewalk the other direction. So it's just absolutely ridiculous what you have to do with this move. Now, now you might say, well, you know, rage arts don't affect me. However, when you have your opponent down on health, which you have earned that situation where when it started off round 1 fight, you basically outplayed your opponent to put them in that situation to where now they are in heat. And at any point in time, if you guys were to throw an attack at the same time as he's throwing out his rage art, you're gonna lose. Because like I said, there is no direct challenging this move. There's none. So you have to basically, I guess, bait, right? And try to get them to throw it out, which is completely changing your initial gameplay strategy. Because when it was round 1 fight and both of you were at 100%, basically the game is encouraging you to play like a rock'em sock'em robots type of deal, because this game is based off of aggression. But the minute you get your opponent into a rage situation like this, now if you continue on with that line of strategy, you run the risk of running into this bullshit. And it amazes me at how many players that play this game, they continuously downplay. They say, oh, it doesn't affect me, or I'll just do this, I'll just do that. that is the problem. The fact that you have to do just that, whatever that is for you, proves that this is an issue in this game. Because if you want to run the risk of, hey, I'm going to put this particular move on block. Let me just show, let's say if I have, what's a good example here? So we got this is +2. So you see this? I could snuff out the Rage Art like this, right? The Rage Art's snuffed. The Rage Art's still on its way, right? You see this. But in order for me to get that advantage, I had to do a move on their block. So with Raven, right, his up 3 is +2. Steve is still doing his Rage Art. Now Raven, his back turn 1 is 8 frames. So let's say if I do his back turn 2, let's say I'm caught. Now back turn 2 is 10 frames. 10 frame attack, right? So we're +2. I do back 2. We'll try to do a little faster, actually. I'm caught. Look at that, you see? So in this situation, yes, you can snuff out a Rage Art like I'm doing right here. There you go, I just snuffed it out. Snuffed it out. But in order for you to even get to that step, you would already have to do a move on your opponent's block to give you the advantage. Let's just say while you are doing that move, your opponent just so happens to just do this. So it's like I said, when people come up with these strategies, the reality is there is no direct challenging of a Rage Art. That is the issue with this mechanic in a game that is allegedly, well, not even allegedly, which is factually, what's the word I'm looking for? Has been communicated by the devs to the community that Tekken 8 is rooted in aggression. So you allow us to be aggressive at round 1 fight, but the minute somebody gets into this particular state, now I have to alter. Well, I mean, I don't have to. I could just go crazy and get caught by this stupid mechanic. But in order for me to not get caught, I have to alter my gameplay style. I have to. That is the issue with the Rage Art. And it never ceases to amaze me how asinine and how stupid some of you out here are that continuously glaze, continuously downplay, and continuously try to come up and invent these highly fringe experimental strategies to deal with a move that basically shuts down every single challenge that is rendered toward it. The only thing you can do is hope that your opponent does it so that you can do this and punish. I do not consider that counterplay. That's just you hoping that you can time your opponent to do it. But let's just say, for instance, now you're in this situation and you're like, okay, my opponent is in heat, so I'm now going to go into bait mode. That's what it is. In fact, I just came up, we're in bait mode now. I just thought of just in this recording, you go from being offensive to now you are now in bait mode. Now what happens now if you are in bait mode? I'm so happy I just coined that phrase here on Christmas Day 2025, ladies and gentlemen. So you're in bait mode. Okay, he did the Rage Art. Well, now what happens if your opponent is not taking the bait? what ends up happening is you have just killed your own momentum as the winning player. And now the losing player can see that you have altered your strategy, because now the losing player knows he has a gun trained on your character that he can fire at any point in time, but you as the offensive player, like the player that's winning, you don't know. It's a complete guess. And it's a guess, again, that you cannot directly challenge. So now that completely changes the dynamics of the goddamn match. Whether you want to accept it, whether you want to glaze it, whether you want to downplay it, that's what it does. Because if you maintain that level of aggression, that level of ferocity, that level of gameplay, that basically put your opponent into rage in the first place, because you're playing the game in line with what the developers wanted, to be aggressive. Now, if you maintain that course of action, you run the risk of getting rage-hearted, thus getting screwed out of a match and or out of a round that you have earned. People that have no problem with this, it amazes me. It boggles my goddamn mind. It boggles my mind. People say, oh, well, it doesn't bother me. These people, I don't know if they're trolling, but I don't care if it doesn't affect you. It affects the game in general. And then people will say, well, if you look at me and Arsenal Nash, I don't give a fuck. I am talking about the core mechanic of this game. Maybe it doesn't affect you. Maybe it doesn't affect 20 other people. I don't care. I am talking about the game itself. There should be a way to directly challenge this move. Much like you can challenge a heat burst, much like you can challenge an armor attack. But why, oh why, did they make the rage art the end all and be all? That's rhetorical. The reason why they made it the end all be all is because they wanted it to specifically be a 100% bona fide bailout move. The fact that it's called a rage art, it really should be renamed as a bailout, because that's what it is. It is a last ditch Hail Mary bailout tactic gifted to people that are getting their ass beat by their opponent, who is actually playing this game as intended, who played the game well and got their opponent into the situation where they are enraged. I feel it is completely unfair that the winning player has to now be on the lookout for a move that they cannot directly challenge that can completely change the outcome of that round and or match, thus screwing over the winning player. That, if you find no problem with that, then I guess we have nothing. We can agree to disagree. Respectfully, we can agree to disagree. But this mechanic is absolutely fucking bullshit. Period. And the fact that it is gifted to the player every single round, you are given this tactic. I would probably be a little less against it if it were like once per match. If you use it in the match, it's gone forever. You have that, fine. If you want that one last ditch hope, that one last ditch effort to screw me as the winning player beating your ass, fine. I'll deal with it. Because at least I know if it is done in round 2, I know I do not need to worry about this fuckery for the rest of the match. That is where you now have the strategy. That is where you now have an actual meta. Because now, okay, well, if I use it, I now no longer have access to it. It's gone. until the next match, not the next round, the next match. I am more likely to stomach that, and I do feel that would be a much better game design choice in giving that move, the Rage Art, the Bailout, the alpha and omega of challenging, which there is none, if you were only to gift it to that losing player once per match. Now, if you want to keep it as it is, then you will give it weaknesses. I'm not talking about it being punishable. I don't care about the punish. The Rage Art, the Bailout, the issue is not the punish. The issue is the startup. That is the issue. It's always been the issue. Because again, the startup of the armor attack, the startup of the heat burst are all possible. Each you have the opportunity to challenge them directly. Whereas the Rage Art, you do not. And that is just the thing that I just cannot stand about this particular move. Now, to go a step further, if we're talking about heat, okay, much can be made and argued about Raven's heat, for instance. I think Raven has the worst heat in this game, which is the reason why I believe Raven is to be more so like a Tekken 7.5 character, because Raven as a character, the only good aspect about Raven's heat is this. That's all. Why? Because at least in this situation, this right here becomes, if you want to be technical and also from a frame standpoint, this becomes essentially a hop kick, a while standing hop kick, because this move is minus 13, right? This move is minus 13 if they are ducking. You know, this becomes a combo, right? Which is fine. And then on block, it becomes punishable in the same way as a regular launching hop kick would, which is minus 13. But with heat, this now becomes safe. Now that's fine. I can deal with that. However, outside of that's it. That's where the benefits of Raven's heat ends. Raven does not have any attack that gives him any kind of combo follow-up. Not really. And I think I will put Brian Fury on the screen very soon. Raven, he doesn't have any kind of additional moves while he's in heat. Raven doesn't have an install. Raven doesn't have a guard break. Raven can't even grab you from his back turn, where it's an actual legitimate grab mix. So this is why, just to kind of touch on this, is why I say Raven is just a poor character in this game. But let me go on over to Brian Fury right now. And I want to highlight something with Brian.
Get ready for the next battle.
And just to kind of illustrate this, as I kind of just get into this topic of Raven. So when you look at Brian, let me see, he's on. So if we go counterattack, look at that. Raven has no move that gives you a this. Even with forward 3. Forward 3 with Brian is a 16 frame move, which also has a 2 frames active, which means up close, this move is 0, which is absolutely ridiculous. But it's always been like this for Brian Fury, which is kind of like what I would talk about with King's down forward 2-1. However, if you're out here and do the move, you see it becomes +1, right? Because this move is landing on one of the active frames, which a lot of people don't really understand. So if you are a Brian expert, you would be aware of this, where at range 0, this move is 0, right? But a little bit outside, it becomes +1. So this move becomes +1, which is absolutely, and it's not hard to set this up. So you have a +1 move from this distance because this move carries Brian slightly forward, as you could see, right? So it's not hard to get that distance just right. Now it might be tricky to get it +2, which I just did just now, right? It might be a little tricky, but you can definitely manage the +1. However, again, much like this move, full counter. Full counter hit combo, I would say. All right? Look at this. And all you have to do is hit forward 3. Well, if we go on over to Raven, just to kind of illustrate this. If you go to Raven now, Raven's, again, Raven has a forward 3, right? But, which comes out, you know, a few frames, 3 frames faster than Brian's. Okay, it has 1 additional active frame. However, this move on counter hit, it does not give me any sort of combo follow-up. It only gives Raven an attack follow-up. So believe me, I can go on and on about why I say Raven is trash in Tekken 8, because he is lacking so many tools that many of the more superior characters have access to. And I just wanted to, I think that is a pure example right then and there, you know, because I just find it ironic that Raven's back turn, his forward 3, which is this, it's like on, you cannot argue this. You can't argue this. You know, you can't argue this. You just can't. Even if you don't use Raven or you don't even understand Raven as a character, just know that Raven does not have any sort of attack that gives the Raven player a single strike, counter hit, gut stun, combo follow-up opportunity. He just does not have it. Well, if you really want to be technical and truthful, I will say this just to kind of illustrate this real quick. Let's just give Brian his 1-2, right? We're just going to give him that. The only thing I guess you could say is Raven has an exceptional down forward 3. That is all. You know, this move on counter hit, you get a full combo. Unfortunately, this move is a high, which does not mean, because, you know, look, there are many moves that are high that are still very good. But look at what Raven has to work with when it comes to mixing this move up. This is 16 frames, and this is 16 frames. So, but unfortunately, when Raven does this move, he is forced into back turn, and he's going to take significant damage depending on the character. And it is very possible for an opponent to get more than just a 13 frame punish if the Raven player is not utilizing his parry. So what that means is, if you do this move and it is blocked, it is as you can see, it's -13. However, because with Raven, the time it takes for you to turn back around to go back into your default position, your opponent can actually punish down forward 2 with a slower attack. Now, of course, Raven can counter that slower attack by going with one of his attack reversals, whether it's the attack reversal or the warp. But again, that could be baited out. So it becomes this unnecessary mind game that the Raven player has to concern themselves with. It's so unnecessary and it's so unneeded. And it just, all it does, it just adds to the mental stack, especially when you're playing at higher levels. It's absolutely ridiculous. Whereas you have other characters, their risk versus reward mixes are far more rewarding, and requires far less mental stack at higher levels of play. That's just the facts. But you know, I just wish that Tekken 8, as it is right now, I wish that it was not the super unga bunga party style game that it is. But unfortunately, this is the game that we have. I am never the person to say, hey, don't play Tekken 8. I am never that man to throw shade at anybody that is playing this game and enjoying this game. You know, play what you want, you know. But I just believe that there are just many different issues from a gameplay mechanic standpoint that is should be considered its own issue outside of the character balance issues that we have in this game, which are, not my opinion, which are factual. And then you have the other issues with regards to cheating, with regards to, I guess, plugging, with regards to, you know, just that sort of thing. And then people may have the issues with, well, you know what, I don't like the characters that's being added in terms of guest characters, DLC. There's a lot of issues that people have with this game. And I am aware of pretty much every single one of them. However, I do believe it is possible for the Tekken 8 developers to fix this game. Whether or not they do, I am very pessimistic about. So whenever I make these videos and I'm like, well, you know, I don't see anything happening for Season 3, that's just my own opinion. But I know full well that it is very possible for the developers of this game to make significant changes. It's their game. The people that made this game are very talented in what they do. But it just really comes down to, are they going to make those changes? That's really the question. And I just don't, I don't see anything meaningful that's going to come out of Season 3. I just don't. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. I just don't. And the reason why I don't see it is based solely on the updates that we have already had for Tekken 8. Looking at the updates so far that we've had, it does not give me the confidence that these developers are going to make the changes that much of the community are asking for. They're going to probably clear up some bugs. They're probably going to switch a few things around, because I know that the developers want Season 3 to be accepted, or at least more accepted than Season 2 was. But I just don't see them doing anything meaningful. And that, again, is the key word, meaningful. I would like to be wrong. I would love for, after Season 3 is in our hands and we're messing around with it, we're playing it, and I would love to have people come to some of my videos and say, Red, you got it wrong. This Tekken 8 is in the best state it's ever been. And I would be the first to happily respond to each and every one of those people and say, I was wrong. And I would even make a video or do a live stream saying, hey, I was wrong. And I will happily give this game the praise that it has earned. However, from where I sit right now, based on what we have seen, the developers prioritize update over update over update. I am just not confident and very pessimistic that the developers of Tekken 8 will do anything to address things that the community are really asking for. I highly doubt it. But as a content creator, I will be covering the Season 3 patch notes. I will, at that point, reinstall this game to cover that. I can tell you at the end of this video, I am uninstalling this piece of shit. I can tell you that right now. In fact, I'll do it on this video. But again, I'm only doing this video again because it is Christmas, and I just wanted to just kind of get some of my thoughts out. I know they were a bit all over the place, but I really just didn't feel like doing any kind of significant editing. I guess look at this as almost like a live stream type of style of video. I'm just kind of just going from point to point. I don't know. Is there anything else I can add in here before I close this out? Because like I said, the minute I close this video out this is the last I'm talking about this game until we get Season 3 patch notes. So let me see. Is there anything else? I mean, I can cover some of the things I want changed with Raven. I think I've done that many times. I think just for the hell of it, I'll cover it one more time. Like I said many times, Raven back turn 3-4. This is Raven's best move as far as I'm concerned. This right here is just absolutely amazing. Bam, bam, guaranteed down back 2-1. That's 48 damage, and then you're +8. That right there is quintessentially Raven's best tool as far as I'm concerned. But unfortunately, Raven has to commit to going back turn, and then after doing this particular move, he is forced to go back into his default stance. And I've said this for like probably damn near a year at this point, that I want Raven to do this move and be right back into back turn, so that it can literally be like back turn 3-4, back turn 3-4, back turn 3-4, back turn, you mash, bam, bam. That's what I want to see. Now there are ways to counterplay this, of course, because this move by itself is unsafe, right? It's unsafe at -11, and it is a 10 frame kick, and it's high. You know, so there is counterplay to this. It's not like the end all be all. And also, even if you block this kick, it's only 0. Would I like for this to be like +1? Sure. But I think that might be asking for too much. I think having the opponent decide whether or not to take their turn back, because in this situation, if Raven was back turn here, right? Just imagine if I just cut out the animation of him returning to default, but after this kick, he's in back turn, right? So let's say I'm back here. I think these first 2 kicks being 0 on block is enough, because now that I'm back turn, the opponent has to decide, is the Raven player going to do, and I'll just put in real time, right? We'll just have him attack after the first 2 kicks like this. And they take that, and that's guaranteed. I think that's more than fair. Because now if the opponent decides to not press, now they did not press, but Raven is now in back turn to now do his other mixes and other things. This simple change for Raven would make Raven so much of a better character overall. He would be so much better. And it does not require the developers to do much of anything. If people would say, well, how would the frames change if with him remaining back turned? Maybe remaining back turned, who knows? If they give him a plus advantage after this, whatever. I am perfectly fine whether he does this move and he returns to his default stance or remains back turned. If both options result in a neutral after the 2 kicks, I am perfectly fine with that. Perfectly fine with that. If they happen to give him plus, that, you know, that's gravy. That's hey, I'll take it. All I ask is just give Raven the option to remain back turned if the Raven player is holding back. Much like if I do back turn forward 3, but if I hold back, I can go back into the stance like this, right? I can do this. That's all I ask. There are many other things. Like I said, I've shown that I want Raven, the pushback of this move to be taken away. I think that's stupid. I think there should be no... this move should operate like this, where there is no pushback, so that I can take advantage of my plus frames. I would like that. I would also like this, no pushback on this, so that Raven can actually do a follow-up after getting this move. I would like that. So there are many things that hell, I would even up 3. The fact that this move is stationary, I would like this move to have more plus on block, because 1, it takes 27 frames. 2, your opponent can pretty much walk out of the range of it because it takes so long. But I would like, in the event you do get your opponent to block this move, I would like to see the frames increased, because I think that would be fair. Now, if Raven had forward momentum doing this move, fine, but he doesn't. This is a stationary move, a very stationary move. So I would love to see this go from +2 to, like, I don't know, maybe even +3, +4. But like I said, there are many things I would like to see changed. But if I can just get this to remain back turned as an option, I would 100% be playing Raven in season 3 if he gets that one change. That's all. That is the one thing I would like. You can keep if Raven has nothing significant, if he can get this and I hold back and he's remaining back turn, I would be playing Raven in season 3 from the very beginning, happily. But I need that, because there's no reason why Raven as a character does not have this option to go back turn. The very animation of the move has him going back turned. And it, like, so, but yeah. And another thing, this move, yeah, give him +5 back, please. This, yeah, that change, the mere fact that Kazuya, as I've shown in another video, that Kazuya can do a wave dash into both punches and have a similar move that's mid, that does chip damage on top of it and is +5. Yeah, when they took this move, they gave Raven +5 on this move at the start of season 2 and then later took it away. When you have other characters in this game that literally commit virtual murder, like almost in everything that they do, this was something that Raven did not break the character. But now that with it being +2, it's like all you really have access to is either you do your down forward 1-4 grab, or you basically do a while sending 4. Like, in terms of what you can do to interrupt your opponent's mash. That's it. Everything else, I don't count this, because Aqua Spider and Quicksand from here is basically a high crush option. But in terms of like a direct challenge, this grab and while sending 4 is your only real options. Where before you could have done while sending 2, which gives Raven at least that opportunity to go for a counter hit launcher like this, which he cannot do anymore. But it would have looked like this at +5. It would have looked like that, because this move down back 3 is still +5, thank God. Which I will say, this is one of Raven's, I would actually dare say this is one of the best moves in the game, honestly. Because even from round one fight, if you backdash with Raven, from this position, from this distance, you can still land this. And with it doing 19 damage, and +5 on hit, yeah, it's a great move, great low. Mixed with this, of course. It's just that both of these options, up forward 3 and down back 3, they take so long to come out. That's really the only issue. But, you know, if you work it within your game, if you condition your opponent with quick moves, quick jabs, down forward ones, you can get your opponent to kind of, you know, catch them sleeping at the wheel, so to speak, and kind of like land one of those moves. But yeah, I don't know if there's really anything else I have to say about this game right now. I mean, I'm sure there is. I mean, believe me, we could talk about the nonsense of Law with his heat and things of that nature. I guess I could say this. Another thing I would like to see removed is obviously the additional wall splat properties of what you call heat smashes. That needs to be removed. If I were to pretty much, I guess I can go to who would I go to? I guess Heihachi, right? Heihachi is a good example. But I could go to Law, just for illustration purposes. Yeah, let's go to Law, just for demonstration. And yeah, so yeah, having a move that is essentially, let me set him up. That is essentially a poke. Really, it's really a poke, right? See, this is like, it's basically a 14 frame poke. Pretty much, if we're really being honest. It's a 14 frame poke that does 54 damage. And look at where this literally sends you flying across the stage. So if we go here again, look at this. This makes sense to people? Like, come on. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Whereas if we look at Raven, let's look at Raven. His heat smash, he does his damage, and it knocks you to the ground. I would like to see everybody's heat smash do that. No more heat smashes to where you get freebie damage against the wall and it sends you flying. You know, none of that. You know, none of this. Hold on. Let me put them to, yeah, none of this. This has to go. This right here. This right here, no. That has to go. All of this extra freebie damage on top of basically a poke that gives you 50 plus damage on top of a wall splat that some characters can. I've even seen some characters, I think I've seen Lydia, where after the initial wall splat, she can wall splat you again into a combo, spike you down, maybe a Oki follow-up, and then now you like it's too much. It's too much. So while I am not a fan of anything heat, of anything rage related, but these mechanics need to be reworked. If they're not reworked, this game is just going to be pretty much a glorified party game as far as I'm concerned. And the changes that I am proposing are not horrible. They are still fair. You're still getting a cheap 14 frame poke that can come out of nowhere that's going to give you 54 damage. And if your opponent happens to block, you're still getting what? For lost keys, you get plus 11, for Christ's sakes. So you're getting, you're fine. If you want to keep all of that, fine. But in no way should the player who got hit by this bullshit haymaker should not only lose 50 plus damage, but also be rewarded with a wall splat for more damage on top of that. If any of you actually stand by and support that, then believe me, we don't have much to talk about. We can just agree to disagree respectfully. Because if it were up to me, rage and heat would be completely deleted out of this game. That I would Thanos snap the fuck out of both of those mechanics out of this game. But to be fair, because I have the capability of being fair, unlike a lot of gamers, I'm willing to have a compromise where, again, to go back to the rage art, in case, you know, just to remind people, if you want to keep your rage art or your bailout, fine. But if two things, if you want this move to retain all of its properties as it currently is, where you cannot directly challenge it, then you only have access to that bailout move, that rage art, once per match. Now, the other option, as I've said, just to kind of reiterate this, right, is if the move is granted the same weaknesses as armor attack and a heat burst, where it could be low attack, low struck, and grabbed, that's fine. I will suffer the bailouts, because at least I know I can directly challenge them, like I can with a heat burst and a armor attack. Now, with the regard to the heat smash, heat smash is fine. As far as I'm concerned, like I said, they are essentially glorified pokes that give you 50 something damage. Fine. However, upon getting hit, you, as that player that did your little heat smash, you will not get any additional guaranteed wall damage. That is done. So much like I showed with Raven in the Raven situation, Raven example, just to kind of illustrate that again, we do the Raven's heat smash. You see, he does his damage, and then you, as the opponent, you just get knocked to the ground. That's it. That is how it would be. And I believe that would make the game a lot more fair. Because, like I said, there are too many characters in this game that literally get away with virtual murder. Literally. It's absolutely ridiculous. All the characters that get guaranteed freebie damage after a heat smash, like Law, like Jin, like Heihachi, like many characters, that's gotta go. That's gotta go. So yeah, all of that has to be changed. No more tracking grabs. That's absolutely fucking stupid. No more unbreakable crouch grabs. That's dumb. And chicken, the ability to counter reversals, that is returned. Because that right there, in order to do a chicken on your opponent, it has been long since an actual skill that requires an ability. It requires skill on behalf of the player. But I understand why they removed it, because they wanted to give that cancerous character Asuka much more free reign to run her bullshit counter type maneuvers. That's really what it is. Much like they allowed you to do a heat attack like this, but now you can go and do while standing or crouched attacks upon a heat engager, because they wanted that, because they basically did that for Anna Williams. That's basically what it did. And I don't mind, because other characters can benefit. Any character has, good while standing and full crouch moves, like Raven. Raven, I can get into an Aqua Spider. I can get into, a Quicksand. I can get into, maybe now while standing one. So other characters can benefit from that change. So I don't have an issue with them allowing you, as the offensive player, upon getting a heat engager, to do, to enter it standard or enter it while crouched. I don't mind that. I think that's, in fact, I think that they should have had that from the very beginning. But yeah, and then I think, is there anything else? I mean, believe me, there's so much I can talk about when it comes to characters specifically. But believe me, I don't want this video to go on too long, especially if you're watching this during Christmas. But I think I will chime off here. Unless there's something else. I think that is all. But yeah, so I think I will close out with this. I appreciate each and every one of you for if you've made it to this far in the video. I appreciate each and every one of you over the year that have subscribed to the channel. Those of you that have become channel members and that have remained channel members, I appreciate you. You know, as I've said a few times in the last week or so, I'm definitely looking to alter much of my channel to cover more gaming related news and also do a lot more Let's Play style videos, both pre-recorded as well as live. So where maybe one day I'll be playing, I don't know, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Another day I'd be playing Visions of Mana. Another day I might be playing another role-playing game, or I might be playing a different fighting game on live stream. And I think having a schedule so that if you are one of those guys that really love all you guys want to do is eat, sleep, shit, and play Tekken, fine. I will have like a specific day for you guys to see me suffer playing this game, and then the other people like that actually enjoy other games outside of Tekken, you guys can be like, oh, okay, Red, he's going to be streaming I don't know, maybe Red Dead Redemption or just whatever game I'm choosing to play. So, and then I would have that crowd. So that's really the aim, and also to grow this as a business, to try to get more financial opportunities, to try to earn more subscribers, more members, and things of that nature. I understand that I am going to lose a lot of subscribers because there's many of you, no disrespect, many of you just only come here just to watch me play Tekken, or really to watch me get frustrated in this game, and that's fine. But yeah, you know, I'm pretty sure there are people out there, the minute they see other content, they just unsubscribe from the channel, which is kind of stupid to me in my opinion, but it is what it is. I understand that there's going to be people like that, but I'm just hoping that, you know, over the course of time, as I gain, let's say if I gain 10 subscribers, I'm hoping that at least 2 or 3 out of that 10 appreciates more than just Tekken. You know what I'm saying? So I guess we'll see as 2026 goes further ahead. Hopefully this time, Christmas Day of 2026, I will be in a much better position with my channel, with myself financially, and with other opportunities, but we'll see. But anyway, with all of that being said, again, Merry Christmas. Well, this is still 2025 if you're watching this video right now. Well, at the time of this video, as well as yeah, I think that's about it. So we're just going to close off here, and more than likely I'm probably going to do a stream shortly after this video is uploaded. So, you know, I don't know what I'm going to be streaming, but whatever, I guess it doesn't matter. But anyway, take care. Peace, y'all.